Hey, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for being here. In today's video, we will make this elegant invitation. So in order to make this invitation, you will need the following items. You're going to need some mirror paper, which you can get from Cards and Pockets, or you can use glitter paper also. If you use mirror paper, be sure to have a cloth because as you can see, mirror paper gets really dusty and it leaves fingerprints on your mirror. It's like a real mirror, so just be sure to clean it off. You're going to need some pebble paper, which I chose white for this invitation. This paper is actually made in India, but I bought it from Etsy. You'll need a name tag also, and then you'll need a 4.5 by 6.5 card. Now this 4.5 by 6.5 card is going to be your base card, and you're actually going to decorate this card here before you put it onto your actual invitation card. But I'll show you that soon. You'll need a pair of scissors, tape, glue in this case, which we never use, but we'll use it today. You'll see why. You'll need your tape runner. You will need some trim, which I got this trim from a local fabric store here in New York City. And you'll need some ribbon. All right, let's get started. All right, so what you'll do is you will start with the base, which your base is going to be 10 across by 7 down, and it's going to be a score line in the middle at 5. So you'll be able to fold it over and your invitation will open up. Now you will have your inserts, which will fit directly on the inside of this invitation. So we are going to start with our base here. This is our actual base card that's going to adhere to the 10 by 7 folded invitation. And this is 4.5 by 6.5 long. So we're going to start with our pebble paper. Now our pebble paper is 2 inches wide. We're going to place one pebble paper sheet on the top. Take our glue. And I like to put the glue directly on the actual card and not the pebble paper. So you want to make sure you line your pebble paper up on your base card so you don't get glue past the actual size of the pebble paper. And then you're just going to glue the actual base. And then just go ahead and stick that glue, that pebble paper on the actual base of the invitation. And just make sure you line up the edges, like the top and the side. There's going to be some left over on the edge on one side, but that is completely okay. Now you're going to repeat the same process for the bottom half of the invitation. So just line up your pebble paper and glue down the base card. Now usually I have this rule against using glue on paper because paper is dry and glue is wet. And if you have ever glued like some paper, it is really just, it leaves dents and everything in the paper and it does not look good. But in this case, I am using the glue because the pebble paper adheres to the cardstock better with the glue instead of using the actual tape runner. The tape runner actually sticks to the pebble paper and it rips it up. I learned that by trial and error. So for the glue I'm using today, I'm using Tombo's liquid glue. Now we're going to take our scissors, and as you can see, there's some extra on the sides here. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut the sides off. All right, so that is on there nice and secure. We're getting somewhere. Now we are going to move on to the next step, which in this case, the next step is going to be our name tag. So for the name tag, you can really choose whatever size you want. I would take the name tag and make it according to the size of your ribbon. Now in this case, my ribbon is about, I want to say 2 inches wide. So you want to make sure that your ribbon is going to be thick enough. Now what I'm doing here is I'm just measuring out how much of a gap there is between my name tag and my pebble paper, because I want somewhat of a gap. So I have a little gap there, and I'm going to center my trim directly on the gap, so the gap is not actually showing on the invitation. Now for this trim, it has like a little clear backing on it. I'm not really sure what that backing is, but it's just a trim that I got. It was about $5 per foot at the fabric store here. We don't have a Joann Fabric here in New York City. We have local stores, which I actually prefer the local stores over the commercial Joann Fabric. I used to love Joann Fabric. I would always drive up to Scarsdale, New York, to go to Joann's, but the local stores are better, so more of a variety too. We're just going to go ahead and tape down our name tag. And as you can see, I have a little gap there in between the name tag and the pebble paper. So I'm going to, right there, yes. Got ahead of myself there. So I'm going to trim, or I'm going to put my trim directly in that gap. Now, if you don't leave a gap between your name tag and your pebble paper, that just means that your trim is going to overlap onto your pebble paper, which is fine. But in this case, I wanted things a little more spaced out evenly, so I put the gap there. So when I go to put my ribbon on, it's going to overlap on the top. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue here inside of the gap. Just make things a little more secure here. Since glue is wet, things aren't really secure until they dry. And this part is tricky because I'm trying not to get glue all over my fingers. Alright, it's on there and it looks nice. Now we're going to do the top trim. Before we do the top trim, I want to go ahead and add the ribbon on, because like I said, the ribbon is 2 inches wide. So I want my ribbon down, but I don't want as much as my ribbon to show. So I'm going to overlap my trim on top of the ribbon. Now that space there is where my ribbon is going to sit. So the name tag is going to just show through the ribbon. So I'm going to lay my ribbon down and measure it out. Now for this, this is where your tape comes in. So you don't want to leave or cut your ribbon too short. You want to make sure you leave, some on both ends, because what we're going to do is we're going to tape it around the back. So we're going to fold the ribbon here and then tape it on the back. Now, when you do tape it, you do not want to make sure, or you want to make sure that you do not pull your ribbon too tight. You don't want it too loose, because you'll see a little further in the video where I had it just a little bit too loose, and then I had to come back and glue down the ribbon. But you don't want it to be too tight, because if you make it too tight, your card will actually curl, and then it's going to be really hard to continue putting it together. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and tape the sides down now. And before you give it that tape and that press, you just want to make sure that it is lined up and is straight and everything. You don't want to, you know, flip it on the back and tape it, and then when you turn it over to the front, you're crooked or it's a diagonal line or something. You just want to make sure it's straight here. This ribbon I also got from the local fabric store here. We have a Michael's here, but again, it's a commercial store. We had several Michael's, and for some reason they started closing all of the Michael's down. So now we have just a few, and Michael's is very limited when it comes to ribbon. So again, your local fabric store, if you have one, might be the way to go. Or you can always order online also. All right, I got my ribbon on there. It is secure and it is straight the way I want it. So we're going to go ahead and add on our second piece of trim, which I'm going to put on top of the ribbon. So I'm going to put it at the very top of the ribbon, between the pebble paper and the ribbon. And that's so I can block out that line of ribbon that's going across. I'm going to just cut a little bit extra of the trim. And this is where we glue the trim, and just try and make sure you don't glue your fingers. And now the trim is on here, but as you can see, I have extra trim also. So I'm going to go ahead and cut off the excess trim. Now, if you can measure it directly, I would suggest doing so, because as you can see, I'm wasting trim. And at $5 and some change per foot, you really don't want to waste it. But this invitation here was made for a style shoot. So because I made it for a style shoot, I just went ahead and just got a little bit extra so I could cut the excess off and just throw that in the trash. Now, I don't suggest throwing it in the trash. You can find ways to use your scraps. I'm totally against throwing it in the trash, but in this case, I did. All right, so it's together now. And now we are going to go ahead and construct our bow. And I don't know why I put on that lid, because I'm getting ready to use that again. But we're going to construct our bow. Now this bow can be any size you want, can be as big or as little, but you're going to just construct your bow. And you just tie it like it's a regular shoestring. All right, now that the bow is constructed, I'm going to cut off the excess ribbon. And it's going to sit right there. Now we need a way to get the bow to stick. So what I like to do is I like to take my tape runner, and as soon as I'm done fiddling with the bow, I'll take the tape runner and I'll actually run maybe 1 or 2 strands of tape onto the actual ribbon. Now we're going to glue. Yeah, okay, here we go. Run 2 strands of tape on the ribbon first. We're going to take our glue here and put the glue on the back of the bow, but you do not want to stick the bow onto the ribbon first. You want to set the bow aside, let the bow glue, let the glue dry a little bit on your bow. You want your glue to be very tacky before you stick it on your ribbon, because I do have the tape down there, which is going to give it a little more security, but you still want your glue to be tacky before you actually put it on the ribbon. That's going to ensure that it doesn't actually fall over, fall off, slide all over the place. So we're just going to set that bow aside for now, and we're going to put the rest of our invitation together. So here's where you need your cloth. You're going to clean off your mirror paper so you make sure that it sticks to your actual paper and there's no dust or anything on it. And then once it's complete, you're going to give it another stick or another wiping with your cloth just to get off any fingerprints from putting it together. Now, while I'm putting the tape on, your decorations that you just put on the front will shift around a little bit because, again, the glue is wet, so it will shift a little bit. In this case, you may want to wait until your glue is dry before you actually put the tape on, or you can just go ahead and put it on like I did. Add a little bit extra tape because this is a very heavy invitation. So if you add a little bit of extra tape, your invitation will stick better. And as you can see, it shifted. So now I'm fiddling with it, trying to get it straight again. And then my fingers are sticking to the back also. Okay, we get it. We're going to put our mirror paper down and adhere our invitation base to the mirror paper. And you just want to make sure your mirror paper is lined up on all four sides. Make sure you can see your mirror directly on all four sides. It's even, and you don't have to go back and cut it again. So just want to make sure that you line it up and it's even everywhere before you actually push it down. Because once you push this mirror paper down, it's not like glitter paper. Glitter paper, you could take it off and reposition it. Mirror paper, not so much. You will rip the mirror off the paper if you stick it down first. So as you can see, this is what I was talking about, where I made it a little bit too loose and I have this gap here that I don't like. But again, I can't go back and tear that off because the mirror will come off. So what I'm going to do here is just put a little bit of glue underneath. And it's okay if you have to put some glue underneath because your bow is actually going to hide that. Now, I like to touch the glue a little bit. It's tacky, but it's not as tacky as I would like it. So I'm going to sit it back down for a few more minutes and I'm going to finish the rest of the invitation. Now I have my inserts here. My inserts are going to also get a piece of mirror paper. Now usually I would construct the invitation card, which is my card here, my insert, onto the mirror paper and then put those two inside and adhere them down. But in this case, since this is for a style shoot, the photographer needs to be able to capture photos of them both side by side. So I'm not actually going to put the invitation completely together. I will put the invitation onto the mirror paper, but I'm not going to actually stick it on the inside. I'm just going to just place it inside of the invitation. Again, you want to make sure that it is centered onto the mirror paper and it is even on all four sides. You want to see that mirror on all four sides, just like that. Now I have my RSVP card in a silver envelope. All right, and we're just going to just sit them right inside just like that. Now, as I was saying, usually I will put some tape on the back here and then I would stick it in there and make sure the white is also even on all 4 sides. But again, because this is for a style shoot, the photographer does not want to open it and then, or take the outside, then open it and take the inside. She wants to be able to do the outside and then both together. So I'm just going to run my handle of the scissors down my invitation card because I have no idea where my bone folder is. You want to make sure you give it a good crease though. And we are going to put some glue on the back again of the mirror paper. And this part we will actually adhere to the invitation base. Just remember, your glue is still wet at this point, so things are going to shift around. You will need to reposition it or just, you know, play with it a little bit until it's back in its correct place. Then you're going to take your invitation, that's the outside, that's the inside, and that is the back. Take the front of your invitation and just put it on the front of your card. Again, making sure you have the white showing on all 4 sides of your invitation. It needs to be even. Once you have it evenly set, go ahead and push that glue down or that tape down to secure your invitation base. Now we're ready for our bow. Our bow is nice and tacky. We're going to go ahead and stick our bow on top of the tape that I already placed down there. And doing it like this, making sure your glue is actually tacky first. Make sure that when you do it like this, and you make sure your glue is tacky first, what I'm trying to say is your bow does not actually fall off. Just give it a nice little press. And that is it. The invitation is gorgeous. Nice little elegant invitation. And for this invitation, if you were going to sell this, I would sell it for maybe $7, maybe $6, $7 per invitation. You put a lot of work into this, so if you're going to sell it, make sure, you know, $6, $7 per invitation. You can also do a box with that, but I'm going to do a box in a different video. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.